What's going on, guys? It's your boy, the ITP Paladin here. So today is a mixture of good news, today is a mixture of good news and bad news. Banged into my table earlier. I didn't realize my camera moved. So today, good news and bad news on the front of Overwatch-related stuff. And since no news is good news, let's start with the bad. Overwatch. So, let me quickly state that I never have a problem with content creation. It's always a good idea to either add, edit, or do something to content to make it look better, to make it feel better. But I'm mainly having issues when they're not really, how should I say, doing the right content. And maybe I'm wording that wrong, but essentially speaking, Overwatch comes out with this. I think it was, what time did they come out with this? At 1:42, so roughly about my time. It was like an hour ago at worst. I had to help out with the baby, who, by the way, is preoccupied with one of her television shows. So as we can see, there's a map they call... I actually never looked at the name. How do I pronounce that? Make sure I don't botch that. Malevento, I believe. I could be wrong. I've never actually heard of that location over in Italy, apparently. So dive into Malevento. I'm just going to stop. Overwatch's new deathmatch map. Team up and take down your... How am I supposed to team up if it's a deathmatch map? Take down enemies in winding stairwells, quiet cobblestone streets, or the Talon's secret den. Live now! Ah! Okay, so let me start with the first fucking problem. Once again, I go back a step. I don't have a problem with content creation, but there is just so many things that people have been vocalizing like, hey, you know, we need something. And I'm not going to be cliche and say, oh, we need a new hero. Oh, we need an actual new map. Oh, we need a new this, that. There are things within reason that they should be doing. Like right now they mentioned that their full-on focus is going to be basically focusing on Overwatch 2. Like, Overwatch 1 is never going to get more content, or at least on the scale that Overwatch 1 should be. Like, Overwatch 2 will absolutely be having... I'm just watching this entire video. It's, like, baffling me. It's not that they're never going to add content to Overwatch, but they're just not going to add it on the scale. They're going to focus on Overwatch 2. Like, Overwatch 2 is going to be more of a hard focus because they want that game to be good. They want that game to be amazing. They want to work on it. And I do believe that their focus is actually properly put. And I'm okay with them delaying the game, personally, as long as they don't release a pile of shit. And I'm just putting that out there that they could potentially still do that. My hopes have been kind of going up and down, and I'm kind of on an up right now where I'm seeing, like, they put out Overwatch 2 for the grand finale or grand finals over in Overwatch League, and I need to still watch it because I want to see what the actual differences were. But since they interviewed Space, one of the tanks for the LA Gladiators, he mentioned that he kind of liked the changes. And quite honestly, I don't hate Space per se. I think he's an amazing tank. I never really watch him. But I don't see him as the type to just make up some bullshit lies. Like, I don't think he personally exaggerates, but again, I don't watch him very often, so maybe I could be reading him wrong. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the guy that's going to just make shit up. So if he says that it was exciting and new and it was actually pretty cool, then by all means, like, you know, we'll take it as is. So he says that Overwatch 2 is looking good. The thing is like, when they're adding content and everything, though, for holding us over, we need more than just patchwork, which I'm not saying bugs or hero balancing. Like, I don't even think they should have done hero balancing as often as they did, because some of the changes were like, what? But they do need to do enough work for it to be significant enough. So I would be okay with, like, bi-weekly to tri-weekly changes where they would, you know, balance a couple of heroes in such a weird way. Like, okay, so we took a look at some of the playstyle and saw that Soldier 76, my go-to, is a little strong in this area, so we decided to kind of rebalance it and see what would happen if we did this. Some of the changes that they did in the April Fool's one were absolutely good. and were an absolute necessary change because so many heroes were so unbalanced, and they kind of put into perspective like, hey, if we actually balance things properly, then maybe we could have a fun game again. Just throwing that out there. But all in all, deathmatch maps, like one of the dumbest comments I heard coming from a Twitter user, I won't mention names, but they mentioned that, like, apparently the community's blind to deathmatch maps because those are the ones that are going to handle 5v5 better. No, like, it's not 100% true. You're telling me that all 6v6 maps now are useless because you're removing 2 players from the map? No, that is not the truth at all. These are not balanced for 5v5s. These are balanced for 20-man, all free-for-all kind of map playing. Like, I don't play deathmatch often, and I don't care when deathmatch pops up on, like, on competitive. I don't care. Deathmatch maps are entertaining to look at. Like, I'm not going to say that the work done was not a waste of time, like a complete waste of time, but it is a waste of time in the fact, like, who's really going to be playing this very often? A majority of the player base is playing competitive 6v6. Another majority is playing quick play. Another majority is playing mayhem. They're playing wacky game modes or the actual game modes. Deathmatch is not, like, deathmatch might be a fad for a while until you realize that you're not doing as good as you think you are. But, I mean, like, there is a benefit to team deathmatch where it does teach you some actual, like, mechanical skill as well as some awareness into the game. Like, it does tie into 6v6 in a way, but it is not one of the major go-tos like, oh my god, did you see that new deathmatch map? No, there's not that much hyper excitement for it anymore. If you're going to patch anything or if you're going to add anything, do something that's going to relate to something that we actually need. And this is farthest from what we actually need. Like, I'm not excited, and I read a majority of the comments. You could see my comment down there saying, oh, good, another deathmatch map. I was trying to, like, clown on them, and you would actually be surprised with the 3,000 likes they got. Reading the entire comment section, people are ragging on them, like, bad. Some of them are actually going way more than me. Like, I was keeping it tame. These guys were like, oh, another fucking deathmatch map. Like, actually going in, ripping Overwatch development team a new one. So, I won't show any of it because, honest to God, if any of them come out positive too, it kind of doesn't reinforce my point. But I saw it just as the post came out, and that's what it was, just scrolling down for like 5 minutes because I was, again, tending to my baby too, so... Let's move on to the next portion of this argument. Something of a hint of good... Oh my god, I didn't realize my hair was floating like that. Let's see if I can push that down. Now it looks like I got it. It looked like I had a bald spot for a second. So the next hint of news actually still relates to Overwatch. So if anybody remembers the little boycott against Saebyeolbe, they were essentially going off because he said something on stream to the effect of he didn't want to be China's dog or something weird like that. I don't remember what it was exactly, and quite frankly, I don't care. Because I first off know that he wasn't meaning any intentional harm by it. And second, that the consequences apparently to saying that got 4 freaking Chinese teams to literally boycott him. And that lasted 2 days. And then we just don't see him anymore. So I know that one of the arguments that of why he wasn't, like, playing came from one of my friends on my Discord, basically stating, like, the reason he's not being played is not because of the boycott or anything, but it's because... Okay, that was weird. It must have been light. I just saw something, like, float back and forth. I think it was, like, some of the cars outside. Anyway, so I know that he mentioned, like, it was not because of the boycott. It was because his hero pool is finite. Like... I forgot if it was Fitz. I know Prophet was one of them, and I don't think Fitz was... I think Fitz was the tank. Prophet, and there was another one. I don't recall his name off the top of my head. He mentioned that they have wider hero pool ranges, and so that's why Saebyeolbe's not seeing any play. Like, yes, he's good on certain heroes, but the meta was never in Saebyeolbe's favor. And the only reason I'm inclined to disagree with that is because with the hero bans changing on a week-by-week basis and things kind of getting mixed up, the meta's never going to be truly the same from a week to second week basis because the next week they'll ban that hero if it sees major play. They're banning these heroes based on playtime. You mean to tell me that mathematically there is absolutely no way Saebyeolbe can make his way into at least one of these Knights rotations? Like, he is a major Tracer player, he's a major McCree player, Widow player. I've seen him play Hanzo. He's not really a Hanzo player, but he can play Bastion, he can play Reaper, he can play all hit scans. Like, we've seen him play on different heroes. You mean to tell me that there's not a meta where McCree, Tracer, and I'm just going to throw this one out there for shits and giggles, but Widowmaker, you mean to tell me that absolutely none of them are going to go in his favor at least 1 week, where they're like, hey, you know, let's give Prophet a break, for instance. Saebyeolbe, you're good on these heroes. Like, we want you on the front line for just this match, and we'll see how next week or the week after goes. You mean to tell me that that's literally the sole purpose? I call bullshit. Yes, it makes sense that his hero pool might not be as wide as Prophet and the rest of them, because I have seen that Prophet will actually swap off between hit scan, projectile, and so on and so forth. I've seen them do that. I'm just saying that Saebyeolbe has his uses. You mean to tell me, again, mathematically, that he cannot do that? I'm calling bullshit. There has to be another reason, and I still think it links to the whole fiasco behind the boycotts, because 4 Overwatch League teams banned him. Like, they were boycotting that if he was going to be in the front lineup, we're not playing, is what they said. Now, again, this is old news, so I'm not going to rehash any further, like, the point is made. The only thing I'm trying to keep up on here is that I think that still carries into a reason. Like, he may not have had, like, a public, what's the word I'm looking for? He might not have had, like, a public punishment, but he might actually be grounded for the sake of keeping good rep. Like, hey, you know, some Chinese fans were actually offended by what you said, so we're going to keep you off the front line just for that. And here's another thing. He was one, and I say strictly, one of the top paid players in the league. Like, it was a fact. It was released by Overwatch League, like, back-end information. Like, he's one of the top players, like, top paid players. So assuming he's keeping his same rate, which I'm sure it kind of lowered because of the recent years with, like, GOATs and all that bullshit that kind of took him out of commission, so there's no reason for him to play and thus no reason to pay him as much. But he was one of the top paid players. Assuming that he only went down a small increment and is still able to keep some of his payment, you mean to tell me you bought one of the top paid players in the league and are literally sitting on him? Wasting your money? Good job. Now, again, I really do think that it has to do with the fact of, hey, you kind of gave us a bad image, so we're going to put you on the bench just for the sake of not putting more bad rep. I have not seen this guy stream in months. I have not seen him stream in months. I have not seen him post on Twitter as often. This guy was posting, and now I don't see him. I don't know if he just created new accounts or anything, but, like, I was starting to miss him because, quite honestly, I enjoyed his content. I really did enjoy his content. His content was maybe not the best content per se. Like, I couldn't understand him most of the time, but it's the way he acts in game, the way he reacts when something goes wrong, when something goes right, just how he celebrates, just how he goes. And quite honestly, again, the thing that's kind of gripping me is, like, ever since this boycott, first off, I hate all the Chinese teams for what they did. Like, I get it's not the players' fault strictly. Like, I'm sure they would have played regardless, and we're like, we don't care. But for the entirety of, like, the higher ups, like, I wouldn't even say coaches at that point. I just say the people who own the teams, and somewhere in between the player line and the highest point up, whatever group and portion were making the executive decisions, hey, don't play against this player, they can go fuck themselves. I hate them, and I hate those 4 Chinese teams, and I especially hated, Spark and Hunters. Those 2 teams always pissed me off, and I never really liked them, and I don't really care for them at all. Color scheme and whatever other bullshit. It's a personal preference. Troll me about it later in the comment section. The point being, like, I don't even support them anymore for any bullshit. Like, I don't even watch any matches including them, even for the grand finals. Like, Shanghai could go fuck themselves. It means nothing to me. Like, there's really not much to go on. This is an old topic, but the good news is that I've seen Saebyeolbe post on his Instagram, even if it was just a short story that literally was like a meme or whatever not. Like, at least I know the guy's fucking alive. because I thought for a moment that he was dead or that he was like removed from the team without the every time I look, he's on the team. I don't know. He's just not seeing any playtime. Kind of wish he was. Okay, so my rant's over. I just wanted to share some news and essentially tack on one more thing. I tried streaming on YouTube and I got nobody. So I'm going to try on a different day and just see if it was the day. Otherwise, I may just stick with Twitch. There's really no point to it. But the content creation on here is very loose. I'm kind of getting tired of comp right now because I'm trading wins for losses. So I'm going to need to find a different venue to try and climb because this is not working. It's trading a win for a loss every time and just staying stagnant in the same SR range. Like I could really use a change right now, but we'll figure that out. Anyway, so that's all my ranting for right now. It's a 15-minute video. I didn't mean to do that, but at least you got some news on a deathmatch map that's already live, apparently. Either that or on the PTR. I don't fucking know. Either way, if you're excited about it, go play it, and tell me how you feel about it in the comments section below. Or not. I don't really care. I do care. This is ITP Paladin, signing off. Have a good night, good night. Ooh, it's afternoon. Have a good day, everybody. I'll see you tonight.